the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, proficient Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. And our Batman, master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical. Our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be your host for this episode. My name, we'll go with Bill. It's not formal, but it works. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Jen.
They are, and we are here. And we will have a drop-in extra guest host tonight. Liam is probably going to pop in. We all went to the HPDE at New Jersey Motorsports Park lightning course this weekend, and we thought we'd talk about it. People, what do we think? What was the weather?
The weather was actually beautiful. Well, it was hot, but there was a nice breeze.
It was stinking hot. Don't lie.
Oh, come on.
It
could have been worse.
I drank at least 5 Yetis full of water.
Yes.
It was so hot.
It was hot. It was sunny too, but it was nice.
It was a breeze. And if you were sitting in the shade, it was great. Or if you were driving really fast.
We need more shade.
It really wasn't that hot. It's that it hasn't been hot at all. So it felt really hot.
You're right.
But
we went from like low 70s, 60s, 70s to 95 degrees.
We had frost 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
So
the evening was very nice.
Yes, the evenings were.
It was.
With the kids looking for UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
That was
hilarious.
Yeah, we're next to it. For those who have not been to New Jersey Motorsports Park, NJMP is literally next to an airport.
A little local airport. So
the kids thought that there were all kinds of UFOs Saturday night because they were watching these lights and they kept moving around and they were moving way too fast for how far apart or far away they were, which is right next door to an airport. But whatever. It's okay.
Yep, that was fun.
I was sleeping. So we have a little bit of prep issues this time, my lovely bride.
Yeah.
We had car prep issues, and then we had housing prep issues.
There were all kinds of issues were being thrown at Vicki all weekend long.
All weekend, I tell you. I think literally that anything that could go wrong the entire season just decided to do it this one particular weekend. And I'm hoping
you handled it like a champ, though.
I really didn't because I was ticking off Bill.
You were killing me.
I was a little on the cranky and preoccupied, and my ADHD at that point was ping-ponging. But
one big pile of grumble.
Okay.
Anyway.
So the housing issue was that we usually go through RV share, and this particular situation, we had a lot of people coming. We had 7, and we were already going to put the girls in a tent, which is fine, but.
So our daughter was bringing a friend, and they were both going to share a tent.
You're right, exactly. And then through RV Share, the trailer that accepted, or the person who accepted our request, didn't actually accept it, and it was an auto accepted. He knew nothing about it, and his trailer was in the shop. So we were homeless as of Thursday night. So Jeff
until
Wakeman,
our white knight in shining armor came to save the day.
Jeff El Jefe Wakeman.
That's right. And his brother Jim.
Came to our rescue. They had a Winnebago, and they brought it over for us, and we told them we would be happy to rent it for them since they had to slam that sucker down together at the last minute.
Yep.
So, they are true heroes. So,
they are former Garage Heroes in Training drivers as well.
Yes, they have driven on both of them have driven on our team.
Yep.
So that was awesome. So that ended up pulling out, pretty well. My car prep leading up to my getting my Miata ready, the company had sent me the wrong parts, even though
they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Nope. They do it all the time. They never send the wrong parts. They know exactly what they're doing.
I'm not going to tell them who the company is, obviously, but because they kind of fixed it, but they didn't fix it in time. So my car had the wrong parts boxed and delivered to me, even though I had the right ones ordered. So we end up when I was doing the maintenance on my Miata, we found out that we put our ticker wheel behind our camshaft on backwards. So I had to go in without I'm apprenticing as a mechanic. So I went in without the mechanic, because he obviously wasn't there anywhere near. He's 3 hours away. So I went ahead and I was very, very proud of myself for going ahead and making that adjustment. Did everything right.
Almost.
Almost.
Cue the sad trombones.
Yes. So I was having car trouble Friday night getting there. I didn't drive my car. I put it in the car trailer and took it. And then I should have driven it. I would have probably known something was off, but I didn't. I kind of did it. What ended up happening was acting funny. We did a couple diagnostics. And I was playing around with the harness when the car was running of all the electronics to the turbo. And I realized that I did not hook up my my intake air temperature gauge, which I didn't know what it was called at the time.
Sensor.
It was the sensor, and it was they weren't connected. I didn't put it together.
Who found it?
My timing belt found it and then ripped that sucker right off.
Yeah.
So there was that. And that was a total novice error, and it sucked. So I had to park my car for the weekend, and I was trying to problem solve the entire time. I didn't know what that was called. So one of the guys had come over. I think his name was Brian. Yeah, a couple of them had their heads in there. And Brian had come over and said, "Oh, that is," that he traced everything by. He goes, "Oh, that was your air intake sensor." And I'm like, "Oh, intake air temperature sensor." So anyway, once we found out what it was, then we started working on trying to get the part. So there was no parts obviously close by. We have one coming now, and in the process, we have created one. So the car is running for the weekend, but we're going to, for next weekend coming up. So this weekend coming up.
So what did we learn?
Number one, what I've learned is that I really need to identify all my sensors. Granted, the reason why I had missed that one is because I had wrapped it up into the sensor connector into the harness, so I can have it up and out of the way. And the sensor itself was facing the passenger seat, so I did not see it. I looked everywhere, and I thought everything was connected. Listen, I'm a novice at all this, but one of the things I learned was to better label those things. Second thing I learned is not to mess with your harness when the car's running, which is a pretty important one, and to do a better check on my car and make sure everything's tightened up. So
will Bill be making a checklist in Excel for this? Why, yes, he will.
Yeah. So
to the surprise of 0 people on this podcast,
I was an asshat. So
all right, moving on.
Yep, moving on. So that's how prep went.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Which car were you driving?
I was driving the Mazda
Miata.
ND.
Yep.
ND Miata. Yep. Your trusty steed.
Yes.
That you have driven many, many, many times. It had Continental tires on it, and it had race brakes.
So I really didn't have to do too much because the HPD that we just recently went to before, I had the oil changed and tires changed and all that stuff. So there really wasn't much to do to prep it.
Nope, pretty easy. E46 M3 was mine and turned into Vicky's as well.
Yep.
Everything was fine with that car. We had a couple loose clunks. One of them we traced to an aftermarket stereo that was put in by the prior owner. We took out.
Was it that?
We're getting there. We took out probably 40 pounds of aftermarket stereo and then taped up a whole bunch of wires. And that fixed it until it didn't fix it. And then we found a loose, a plastic underbody panel, which was missing one or two bolts. We couldn't really see under there. The car's actually fairly low. So we'll have to just thread in a couple bolts with maybe a washer on it and life will be good. Otherwise, the car was great. It was driving on a Michelin Pilot Super Sport 4s for the first time. Those cars are excellent, by the way. Those tires are excellent, by the way. And it was Vicky's first time driving a car in anger on a track. She'd driven around town a little bit. We'll get into things about that before we finish the episode. So, Jennifer, your first time in HPDE2. Vicki, your second time in HPDE2. Liam, your first time in HPDE2. What did you guys think of HPDE2 with NASA Great Lake? No, not NASA Great Lakes. Sorry, NASA Northeast.
Jennifer, you go first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
It was good. I
compare it to HPDE1.
There was obviously there's not the instruction there is in HPDE1. You don't really have the classes that afterwards, so it's more just like the download afterward.
You get one class in the morning and that's it.
Yeah, and that really wasn't even a class, not at this one anyway. It was just kind of, here's the rules.
Don't be dumb.
Yep. I go out there and have fun. So don't do anything stupid. Here's your passing lanes and that's it. So
speaking of, where were you allowed to pass?
You were allowed to pass on the straightaways, obviously the big straightaway. You were allowed to pass if you turned 5. And there was another one. I didn't let
after 7 into the light bulb.
Yeah. So I was really only comfortable with people passing me at 5 and then on the main straightaway. So and maybe that's because there really just wasn't enough time to let it pass. What was that third one you said? Between
7 and the light bulb.
Okay. Yeah.
After the hard left-hand turn up until the bowl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So no, I did let people pass me there, but it was on the opposite side.
Yeah.
So,
it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of room. Like it's a shorter.
It's a shorter and it's got a kink in it. So.
Yeah. So most of the people that I pointed by, because obviously I wasn't in a high power car, was on the other straightaway. So, but anyway, I thought that it would be more intimidating than it was, and it wasn't. It was fine.
You were ready.
Huh?
You were ready.
Yeah, I was ready. You're right. I was ready for it. So yeah, it was good. I wish I had been more assertive.
We'll work on that next time.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But that's a personal problem. That's not the fault of, I think, anybody there. It's me internalizing all that, but we're not going to get into that. But
welcome to Garage Heroes in Therapy.
Right, exactly. Right. So and partly because I think because it was my first time into, I was trying to be overly courteous.
Even more than you do normally.
Normally. So yeah, I didn't want it to be that person. So, I really went out there and, tried to be kind and courteous on the track. So, but, I just kind of looked at it as track time and it was good. And I really we did get a lot of track time.
Yeah, the sessions are a little longer.
Yeah, the sessions were 20 minutes. I mean, it was
25 most of the time.
Yeah, so it was good. Like my hands hurt, and they shouldn't hurt. And I don't know if they hurt because I'm old or They hurt because I was fighting the wheel, and in both cases, it's probably bad. So.
All of the above, maybe. So, Miss Vicki, your second time in HPDE too. Different region.
Yeah.
Compare, contrast.
Well, I don't go there for the education. I go there for the track time. And basically they teach more of how to drive the particular track than more about your car. So, but what's great about their program is that you get good track time.
Mm-hmm.
A good amount of track time.
Yeah, those 5 minutes make a big difference.
It really kind of does. Although, say, for instance, if you happen to go to the Great Lakes, you will get a more comprehensive education program.
Because of the drills.
And the drills. They don't really do that over here. They just really kind of discuss. I think in our class, after you got through point by, the whole.
Would you care to elaborate on your point by?
Yeah. Yeah, every time in this particular one, when you walk in, it's a whole thing about point buys. But somebody did point it out too, though.
Who was that person?
I know.
Did she look like you, Vicki?
No. No, I think that was really kind of getting with me. I had to call it out. But here's
the thing. Vicki and I came to the conclusion, like, if we need to talk that much about point buys, then those people should not be in two, because it's really
you know what, I really think that it had to be brought up, and Jennifer did bring it up. Well, first of all, I brought it up that, listen, about the point buys, and I told him in class, I said, we spend 5-10 minutes just talking about stinking point buys
out of a 15-minute debrief
and a 15-minute debrief. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, I said, this is really, you guys really shouldn't be in HPDE 2. I thought we were in HPDE 2. I thought this was covered HPDE 1. But Jennifer... If
it makes you feel better, in HPDE 3 and 4, they did the same thing. So
yeah, but I don't get it. So, but it was clarified.
If there's one thing our team is good at, it's pointing people by.
Right.
So, right.
You're as slow as us. We point a lot of people by.
But two things were brought up within that regarding that point by situation. And part of it is that I think some people just like to bring it up because it just makes them feel good, I guess.
They're flexing.
But yeah, they're flexing is what they're doing. So the other thing is that it's 2 is purgatory. Okay. It's, you have 1 coming in and then you have others graduating out to 3. So, and then you also have people that kind of want to show up with bigger cars. They have bigger cars and
more car than skill.
More car than skill. They feel that they could just skip over one. And I think that they might be able to kind of get away with that. So there's a lot of people that show up that just want to drive. They don't really care about the instruction, which was kind of brought up too. So their program doesn't focus on that. People just want to go out and drive. And then when it came to the point by, Jennifer did kind of have a rant, which was perfectly acceptable rant, about how the whole discussions about point buys was affecting her personally entering into 2, and how
let me just say, I was the queen of point buys that day. If you came behind me, I pointed you by. I was not the person they were complaining about.
Right.
So much so that I wasn't getting what I felt
out of the whole program.
Right. Like, yeah.
Right. So she was being affected because of the post fest of point by discussion every time we walk in. So that was brought up. And then what they said was, what is the acceptable, everybody listen to this, distance you can go before a point by hits, before you give one? And they said a half a track is perfectly acceptable, even possibly 3/4, depending on, your comfort level of the pass. So I just think somebody were just, again, flexing. But so just, as the instructor said, you can go half a track before you should go ahead and do that in 2.
So, and here's where I was being in the Miata, like the corners are great, keeping up. But I kind of felt with the people complaining every time that I needed to let them get by before they got to that straightaway so they could get their high power car foot to the floor and get their time and get their, you know what I mean? So I felt intimidated by that. So I felt like I almost had to point everybody by so they could get their best time on the straightaway. And after toward the halfway through the second day, I'm like, I paid to be here too. It's just not fair.
But we kind of got it ironed out towards the end. I think Bill's trying to interject.
So, Jennifer,
yes,
if you're not going to go as fast as you can, then how are you ever going to win the prize money for the fastest lap in HPDE 2 for the weekend?
You're right.
I mean,
you're right, Bill.
I mean, the size of that trophy.
Conclusion, and that's why I brought it up in the meeting.
I mean, the size of the trophy for the fastest HPDE 2 driver is I don't think it'll fit in our trailer, really.
You're right, Bill.
And those F1 scouts that are looking at HPDE 2, I mean, they need drivers.
Well, but I said, it is at the end of the day, it is still HPDE2. And if you're as good as you think you are, then you shouldn't be in HPDE2. You should be in 4.
So, I think that there was a lot of people just flexing and just, anyway. I think when you go to Great Lakes,
the download's different. It's how you did and what can you do to improve yourself, not whine and moan about who did what.
But the bonus thing about going to the Mid-Atlantic or the Northeast is the track time, because they're abbreviated on their instructions. So we just go and we just drive. I mean, they'll tell you about the track. They'll tell you, how to hit certain turns and stuff like that. But you get a lot of track time out of it. When you go to Great Lakes, you get more instruction, takes up your time, and then you can focus on drill time. You can focus on more comprehensive downloads.
Well, you've got 20-minute sessions with 2 laps of drills. So you got an out lap and another lap of drills. So you don't get that many open lap.
Right.
So it's
so
a little different.
They're completely different, and they both have their benefits. So
the focus is different.
The focus is different. But again, he was saying that the reason why they don't do so much of the instruction is because people come with their cars and they don't want that.
Right.
They want to know how to drive the track. They don't really care about the terminologies and the correct, I guess correct language or whatever. They probably get the same thing elsewhere. I don't know, but it's not their main focus.
All right. So goals going into the weekend.
Goals going in.
Jennifer, you had some goals. I added
Wait a minute. We didn't ask Bill.
I know, Bill.
So I had my first ever useful download at a NASA Northeast event.
Okay.
On Sunday. So that was nice. And
can you care to share?
We went through. Well, most of the time we end up complaining about point buys. And the one time we went through what are 1 or 2 things that each of the drivers was working on, improving. And
that didn't happen with us.
And that was tremendous because you got to see what other people were working on. I said what I was working on, and then there was a couple other people that had similar cars, and they told me the answers to what I was trying to figure out, which was, do you go through the light bulb and why they call it a light bulb?
What is the light bulb?
The bowl or the tip.
Oh,
yeah.
The bowl.
The
Everybody
bowl.
else that we know calls it the bowl.
Yeah, or worse.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the Jersey Motorsports Park lightning track, just look at it. And if it doesn't remind you of something, turn the page over and it'll definitely remind you of something.
Yes.
So they told me the exact answer, which was, I was concerned about which gear to go through the bowl because it's in between gears. Is it worth going down to third to get a little more acceleration, or is the switch in gear, the two shifts you're going to have to do now, is that time lost? And do you really brake, or do you just do a lift going into it? So we went through that, and that was useful. Otherwise, just tons and tons and tons of lap time. Without any drills, you're basically out there. You get, on the Jersey Motorsports Park, it's normal. Let's say it's about a minute 20 per lap, and you got 25 minutes. You get a lot of laps. Even when we were sharing cars and I was getting off early, I was still getting, north of 10 laps, which is a lot. For instance, when we were at Great Lakes and we were on Mid-Ohio, I was getting somewhere between 6 and 8 laps, depending on the drill, because it's 20 minutes and the track is much longer. It takes a lot longer. So it was good. Okay, goals. Back to the question. Goals going into the weekend. Miss Vicki, what were your goals?
Okay, my goals were...
Your goals changed because you had a different car.
I did, but the goals were the same.
Okay.
So I got a chance to drive the E46, and
say thank you, John.
Oh, John Lavin. Oh my God, this car is freaking amazing. I obviously have put on my best times ever. By far, because it's a different kind of beast. And
you were consistent too, which was nice.
I was really kind of practicing on some stuff. So, excuse me. The car drives beautiful. It's fast. It's balanced. So, going in, I was really intimidated about driving this car because it's a way more powerful car than my Miata is. But I was really happy that I did, because as I learned in the Great Lakes HPDE 2, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that honestly is one thing that sticks in my brain so much. So driving this car with my goals was very interesting. My goal was to, on this particular track, to get for better times and for better speeds, is to coming around 5. 7 was kind of tricky. And then in the bowl was to get the maximum grip out of my tires and get on the gas earlier to get better time. That was one goal. The second goal, I was really trying to work on my threshold braking. And I happened to be doing it in a much faster car, hugely faster car. So I
think it's a faster car, Jen.
Yeah. So those numbers at the end of the straightaway were like, thump, 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 so. Yeah. So yeah, it was crazy. And I was, like I said, trying to get the most out of my grip coming through the bowl at the same time.
Vicki was having a blast.
I was.
She was balls out, kicking butt around that track.
But on Saturday, she was still pooping out on the gas pedal.
Well, Saturday, towards the end of the day, I had just run out of gas, of steam, not gas, but out of steam, because I was so excited the night before that I really couldn't sleep very well. And I was still upset about my car at the same time. So,
yeah, right. Not to mention everything that could have possibly went wrong.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I was like literally, I was ping ponging all over the place, and I was just kind of a little bit of a hot mess. But I was excited at the same time. So I really had a hard time sleeping. So it was, waking up early the next morning. I think by the next day, I just kind of, run out of steam towards the very end. And, I slept pretty hard that night for sure. But
so Miss Jen had some goals.
2 goals. Yeah.
I did have some goals. Last time we went to the HPDE at this track, I was very, very focused on driving the perfect line, driving and shifting, which I wasn't so much of an issue this time. So I really wanted to just work on speed. So, and braking later. But my goals changed throughout the weekend, which was a surprise to me, which was great. So I after my issues with the pointing everybody by and me wanting to go faster, but not feeling like I could because of the traffic and trying to be nice. Vicki and I befriended some people behind us. One of them happened to be an instructor whose student didn't show up the first day. His name was Ben, so he was really great. So I asked Ben if he would go out and ride with me the second day. So he went out on my first stint with me and told me, he said, "You're driving in the mirror and you need to stop that." So my goals changed. So after that, it was, and that was part of the problem.
Just in case people don't know what driving in the mirror means.
Oh, so I was so worried about the cars around me awareness, which is interesting because when I first started doing all of this, it was one of my other goals to master that. So I have overmastered that goal.
Job well done.
So I have so much awareness of what's going on around me. It's impeding my driving now. So I need to back off of doing that. So I need to and started to, like I said, my goals had changed. So my goals changed to me not looking in the mirror, only looking in my mirror really on the straightaways to see if anybody's there that needs to pass, because I was constantly being aware of the people around me and coming up on me, and I need to not do that. So
with the way that your sessions were structured, you're only allowed to point them by in 3 spots. So the rest of the time it doesn't matter. Right.
You're absolutely right. So, but yeah, I was constantly looking, and I need to not do that. So going into our upcoming weekend, that is what my goals will be.
Cool.
Absolutely.
How about
Excellent.
you, Bill?
Goals for me. I was working on figuring out the setup of the car, which meant tire pressure and the adjustability of the coilovers that we have on the car. So on Saturday, we made a mistake because we got a little behind in our prep, and we left them in full soft street mode, which made it softer than I like. But on Sunday, there's 32 settings on the ones that we have, and we put it in middle setting of 16. And I believe even Vicki was able to tell the big difference in the way the car handled.
Yeah, I was starting to feel the rotation.
Yeah.
And my rotations are slight at this point in my racing, but I was starting to feel the car kind of come around a little bit, which I liked.
Stable. And
yeah.
then the other thing I was trying to work on was the brake release. It's something that I was just trying to work on. That was my goal. So, all right. So Liam's not here yet, so we're going to skip on him. For now, we used a combination of 2 of the telemetries that we have on the team. We were using our Garmin Catalyst, and we were using our Apex Pro. I think Jennifer used both. Vicki and I only used the Apex Pro. Any thoughts on that yet, Jen, or are you still working on it?
What?
The Catalyst or the Apex Pro?
Which one do I like?
Yeah, like thoughts about either one, really. Because you're starting to get to the point where you've used them enough and you have enough time to see it.
I don't know, because you explained some things to me, but I didn't really get to look at the Garmin.
Okay.
So, because when we went over some of my data there, and we didn't do a whole lot of that, but it was mostly you had pulled up the Apex Pro, I think.
Yeah, because I didn't have the Garmin in my hand. So
yeah, so I don't think I got an opportunity. So it really wouldn't be a fair.
Did we have the Garmin on so you could hear it?
We had it on, but we never went over it. So I don't think I saw like anything from the Garmin.
Did the Garmin say anything to you?
Well, I don't think I had it turned up all the way.
Okay.
She had her roof off.
Yeah.
And I had the roof down part of the time. So I didn't hear if it was saying anything to me.
Well, I'll check it. Don't worry. Just give me time.
Mm-hmm.
But how was the data? Did you analyze it all?
No, not yet. I did. Your consistency was good until you started looking in the mirror, and then your consistency was good again, but it was 5 seconds slower per lap, and I yelled at you in a nice way. So don't look in the mirror.
Right. You're right.
Miss Vicki.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Apex Pro.
So the Apex Pro, I know we had the podcast on it, and I know something about it, and you were telling me that it registers the grip of the car,
if you
or
think
does
about
it
that way.
or does it register the lines of the track?
Well, it measures it does the lines, but the lights are really how much of the available grip are you using.
So I would say that I was really working on making sure that that was fully lit up in a positive color, not red colors.
Mm-hmm.
So wait a minute. Can you go over the lights just real
So
quickly?
there's a series of I think it's 10 different lights. And
Right.
You can set it for either blue or green,
Right.
or blue and red, or green and red.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're going around a turn and 8 lights are lit and you have 6 of them green or blue. Doesn't matter. Green and blue both mean the same thing. It's just which one do you like better? That means you still had 2 more lights worth of grip. You could have gone a little faster or a little harder into the turn. If you had all 8 of them green, you used up all the available grip in that particular turn. So like in the bowl, especially, you can go around there, and since it's a right-hand turn and the Apex Pro is in the center of the car, you're looking at the track and you can see the Apex Pro right in your eyes, and you can see, I believe it was 8 lights were lit.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see if you slowed down, you'd get 6. If you went faster, you'd get 7. If you went a little faster, you'd get 8. If you went more faster than that, you'd hear you'd hear the sound of the car singing a very bad song. So you knew where you were on the limit. So once you were able to figure that out, you'd know exactly what you had available to you, and it's kind of helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So the blue is
Good.
You want more blue or green?
Blue or green, yeah, depending on how it's set.
Okay.
And it's set by the phone that you have in the car. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I set yours for blue and red.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, with blue and red.
Yeah, I was really paying attention to that this particular time.
Well, this is a track you've driven a lot, so you know this track.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. It's a simple track, and you've driven it a lot. So
Right, but it was at turn 5, where it's the off camber. If you miss, you go off in the field where everybody goes off. I finally figured
has
that
anybody
one out
ever
this
gone
time.
out? Did you ever go off there? Rick?
Oh yeah, yeah. I broke a Bilstein, so I repaired everything though. So, but I realized what I had done on that turn while driving the E46, because the E46 had me feel it more, is that as you go up over the hill, you come after you hit the apex, you start tracking out, and then there's the car feeling goes thump like that. It just compresses when you come down, and that's one thing I did get out of this instruction, was that when you feel the car settle, and that stuck in this particular instruction, and I felt that, and as soon as I felt that come down, like the car just kind of set, I punched the gas and I just took off at that point.
So jargon is not your strong point.
Well, no, I'm still working.
I know,
set or settle.
The car takes a set.
Okay.
So it's set, and then it's stable, and then it's ready to do whatever you want to do.
Right. So I
almost
was really
like the pause.
So I was trying to come over that turn instead of on a turn, more of a straight coming across that pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just punched it at that point, and then I was starting to really make up some time.
Mm-hmm.
So
good. We didn't get to use the catalyst, so I can't ask you about that. We really need to get our cars so we can run the catalyst through the Bluetooth. It's kind of nice, actually. I really wanted it, but my stereo system, as we spoke of earlier, is not so great. Okay. Good, the bad, the ugly. How did our weekend go?
Well, I was curious about your thoughts on the apexes and all the telemetry.
Apex. I like having both, really. The Apex Pro to me is a bit better if you're looking at doing some data analysis because it gives you more.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive what you were showing me. Like,
yeah, and then if you want to dig deeper, the Apex Pro is probably better. It's good during the drive as well. The Garmin is for people who don't really want to get into, like, if you like Excel, you're going to like the Apex Pro after. But the Garmin is for people who hate Excel, and it basically watches you for 2 laps and then starts telling you what you could do to improve or what you did well verbally. It's almost like having a coach. And then after your stint, you can analyze it. It prioritizes 3 areas of the track and says what you're doing well and what you could do better and how much time you could possibly save. So that's useful too. So that's why we like having both. Well, this part of the royal we, the Bill we. So I like having both in the car because they both do different things. And Liam drove.
If you got them, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And Liam drove with the Catalyst in his car. He's not here yet, but hopefully he'll be in soon. So any questions on that, Miss Vicki, Miss Jen?
So why does it have to be or when it can be and?
Exactly. And we just got 2 new Apex Pros Generation 2 that came in the mail right after we got back.
Ooh.
So yeah, 4 in the team now.
I get a lot. I'm now starting to understand how everything is working with it. So it was really kind of fun because Bill and I were sharing one. So we were able to compare side by side our stints. So that was
and our
fun.
laps and what
and
the differences were. And you could see that you were the same as I was, except
my threshold braking sets me behind.
And you did not keep the foot to the floor.
Yeah.
You could just see it. There's a graph, and we're both going up parallel to each other. You know, I got on the gas just a smidge earlier, so no big deal.
Yeah.
But we're going up parallel to each other, and I keep going up in a nice straight line, and Vicki goes,
yeah, but
I'm going too fast.
Well, yeah, part of it's courage, and and that like I said, at the end of that track, and then straightaway, those numbers come really fast,
Mm-hmm.
So
and also it was your first weekend driving that car, so
you
were not familiar with the car, so it's hard to trust a car that you're not familiar with. So
yeah, but
All
I
right.
still was having a good time in it.
Yes, you were.
Don't worry, Miss Jen, you're going to get a good time. Mid-Ohio in it anyway, at least once. So good, bad, and the ugly. Who wants to go first? Sounds like Miss Jen.
The good was I felt good into.
Good.
I felt
you're ready.
Yes,
You're more than ready.
I was ready, and I wasn't sure about that, but I was ready. So yes. The bad, I felt bad for Vicki. What's happening to her?
Yeah.
Oh, the prep stuff.
But again, like we were trying to find all the positive in all of it, because if your car didn't break, you wouldn't have been able to have the experience in the E40, which I thought you really enjoyed.
I really enjoyed it.
Like, it sucked that your car broke, but
I know.
It was still a good weekend.
It was a good weekend. I really liked the E46.
You were having a blast.
I was having a blast.
Especially on Sunday. Saturday was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
You kept trying to fix it and you weren't letting go.
Yeah.
But I could tell you were a bit frazzled, and it was just kind of one thing after the other. And it was, I want to help. I don't know how to help. Like,
I know
everything. I'm like, just tell me what to do. You know what I mean? So, because I had things packed and I didn't know where they were, and I wanted to just do it, but I wasn't sure. So I felt like I kept asking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that kind of, anytime.
Yeah. I was kind of dealing with a tsunami of errors that were kind of coming. And it was really funny because see, I'm also taking on like the food prep and other things because Jennifer is in a circumstance where she can't bring her trailer to the HPDEs as they were before. So she's driving.
Can't pack everything in a Miata.
Right. She's driving an ND, and it's really funny because she's asking, well, can I help? Can I bring anything? I'm like, you can't fit anything in your car. So no, but I mean, I had no problem with the food prep. The food was fine. I mean, it's very simple meals and stuff, but it was like that was kind of added on to it. So I have to make more time, like pack it early, throw it in the freezer like a whole week ahead, just be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was just, anybody can handle a crisis. It's all the little things.
Right. And it really wasn't anything huge. It was because everything worked out. It was just the little things that are just time consuming and annoying. You just want to throw your hands up in the air and say,
yeah. And it just kept, Jennifer was really trying to boost me. And it was just hot. It was so hot.
It was hot. But
okay. So Jennifer,
Jennifer, what was the bad?
Yeah.
That was the bad. So what was the ugly?
Yep.
Yeah.
The ugly, I think, well, it's kind of a mixed bag of ugly. So, because I try to look at the positive and everything. So the ugly probably was, I could have probably gotten more out of the weekend. And
you know what would be good if you were going to another HPDE the next weekend. You could probably
exactly. So, but the good part of that is me knowing that I could have gotten more out of the weekend and coming to that realization. So there's good and bad,
and we can make up for it on our next weekend.
Exactly. So if that was the ugly piece of it, but it was, in a way, it was a realization. So not, good. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And we're going to make a pause.
Because I could have been, I really am so slow that I have to point everybody by. And that was not the case because I felt like I really wasn't. So like, that's good. That's good.
I mean, you're not going to beat anybody in a drag race, but
no, not at all.
You can beat them in a lap.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that was a good thing.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to interject on this. Good, the bad, the ugly, because Liam is here. So
he gets the answer too.
Yeah. So
why don't we do Liam? Come on in.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to let him sit down.
Liam, you look tired.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend.
I think you fought the law and the law won.
It was
He fought the gravel and the gravel won. How are your boo-boos?
Oh, there.
Liam had a skateboard incident, so that
they're fantastic.
Okay, all right. So overall, let's just do it and get you to bed. What's your thoughts on the weekend?
It was fun. I've been to that track a few times, and if I remember right, we haven't taken at least as far as I know, I don't think I've taken the 86 to that track yet.
No, that was
interesting to do that.
Yep.
Instead of taking a Lemons car.
Yep. So, good, bad, and the ugly. What are you thinking
for the weekend?
Yeah.
Good. I got to really, really push the 86, which was fun.
By really push, you mean drive it off track twice?
I mean,
no, that's past his Aunt Jennifer twice.
Oh, okay.
He did do that. I wanted to wave hi.
You did
to the guys that I passed when I went off track in the flag station and to Ed Jen.
Very nice. Any bads, Liam?
Heat. I'm pretty sure you got. I haven't been here, but I'm pretty sure you guys have covered the heat.
It was hot. Yes,
it was pretty hot.
Anything ugly for the weekend?
Tell
your mother to be quiet in the peanut gallery. She's not on the podcast.
I think she knows. She possibly might know where I'm going with this. There was an entire stint where I was just riding this Beamer the entire 20 minutes.
No, you were not.
I started behind
No,
you,
no, I thought
and I ended behind you.
Are you saying your mother didn't point you by for an entire stint?
for fun.
No, I wouldn't insinuate that.
Okay. All right. We're going to skip ahead so you can just go. What did you learn from this HPDE related to driving?
More than anything, how much race tires help,
Mm-hmm.
and simultaneously how much they can take.
Mm-hmm. And
So
don't
I
forget
figured-
brakes too.
Oh, the brakes. Yeah, I do. I do think that I pushed those pretty hard as well. Once you said I was threshold braking going underneath the bridge,
Mhm.
I think my time dropped like 2 seconds.
You should be.
So,
All right. What did you learn non-driving?
what did I learn non-driving?
Any non-driving? You can say no.
I need to get a skateboard that has a little bit narrower of wheels.
Okay. Or skill, but whatever. Did you have any aha moments besides that Aunt Jen can patch up anybody with,
Very limited supplies. Yes.
exactly. Any like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, or oh, that's new. Because your times were very good.
It was mostly just how I was just really impressed with how hard you could brake in that 86 without it,
Okay.
locking up. I knew it wouldn't lock up, but it was
Anti-lock
definitely.
brake, click in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
I
get the
definitely-
anti-lock brakes on at all this weekend?
Oh yeah. Once you told me about that, it took about 2 laps around before I figured out I could cram those brakes pretty much around 3 or 2.5.
Would you go again?
Absolutely.
Okay. What would you change about the event if you could change something?
About the event?
Your event, the event, whatever.
There's a few people who probably shouldn't have been in HPDE too.
Oh, okay. What was the best part of the event?
I met a buddy named Chris.
Mhm.
He was in the blue. I think it was an 86. It was an 86 because I was talking to him about how we both had the TRD model.
Mhm.
He had a different spoiler on the back, and I'm pretty sure he had equal wide tires to mine, or possibly even wider. But he had a GTI that he tuned up before he got the 86, which I thought was pretty coincidental.
Mhm.
And we ended up battling it out on the track a few times throughout the event. That was a lot of fun.
Cool.
I just wanted to say that as well.
Very nice. You going to go again?
Yeah, I think I will. I
Well, you
enjoyed
already
it.
going to Pittsburgh, and you got one more Northeast event you have to go to.
Mhm.
So
We enjoyed having you there, Liam.
it was fun.
Come to more of them.
I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed going against you guys. I'm trying to get back to where me and Dad are in the same class again.
Wow, that's going to take a lot of effort.
You're one class ahead.
We'll see about next weekend if I'm 2.
We'll see.
Okay. All right. What did you think about the Garmin Catalyst? It was your first time driving with it. Did you things you liked, things you didn't like?
The what?
The screen that was in your window.
Oh, the catalyst. Yeah. I thought it would be distracting, but it really, really wasn't. It was after a bit, I really didn't notice it.
Did it help you?
I think so. There were a few times where I was trying to figure out what it meant by a few things, but I think that was just me trying to figure out what the system uses as terminology.
Mhm.
More than
Did
anything
it talk
else.
to you at all?
Oh yeah, a bunch of times.
Did it say anything good?
Once we set up the
Coaching?
once we set up the opportunities, it
Mhm.
started talking a whole lot more.
Okay.
And it would usually pipe up saying like good braking late or turning in earlier or something like that, or
Mhm.
later sometime. I don't know. It would just say,
Okay. Depends
it would
on the
give
turn.
tips. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Your time in jail is over. You don't have to stay anymore. Did I miss anything? Anything you want to talk about?
Hmm.
We couldn't get Sid out of the RV, so we couldn't get her into a car. We tried.
Yeah, I think she was just suffering. It was very, very hot this weekend. I actually, I don't know how warm it was today, but everybody was sweating a little bit. And I think I kept my sweatshirt on until probably about 2 p.m. just because my blood is not used to the temperatures down here now.
Yeah, it was a little hot. No transition, no spring. Spring was like an hour.
Yeah, it was brutal.
All right,
we're immediately back to fall.
Go to bed. You got to go to work.
Yeah, I do. All
Good
right,
night.
come take your mic back.
So Miss
No.
Vicki.
Yes.
So Miss Vicki. What was the good, bad, and the ugly for the weekend for you, my dear?
The good was driving the E46.
Mhm.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Did you like it better Saturday or Sunday?
I progressively got better through the weekend with it and more confident with it. I think by Sunday I was really starting to rotate the car. I think, and so yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
The bad was the heat.
Okay. Anything ugly?
And well, there was a couple things. Was the heat, the car itself, what was happening.
Your NB.
Yeah, my NB. The tsunami of issues that I was having were the bad, and the ugly were 2 car fires and a wicked accident. I would have to say that was pretty stunning.
Okay, so since that's the ugly on mine, we had a car fire on Saturday that the world is now short one Integra. That Integra got burned pretty badly. Everybody got out okay. And then Sunday we had a car, a Corvette and a Miata got together and
got in a tangle.
The Corvette ended up in way off the track into a little, it's not a forest because it's so small, but a thicket of trees. I don't know what to call it, but he hit the tree pretty hard and was stuck in the car for a couple minutes. So that car caught on fire as well. So not good. Hopefully everybody's fine. I know the Miata driver is fine because he's a friend of mine from NASA Great Lakes region. And Corvette driver is hopefully going to be well. Haven't heard anything definitive yet. Still early as we're taping this. So good luck to everybody. And hopefully your cars and your drivers will be in great shape. And we'd love to see you back at the track as quick as we can. My good, I have more fun. I go to most of the HPDs I go by myself. The good for me is you guys going. You know, having you and Jen and Liam was awesome.
Aww.
That's right. Get old weepy now. Bad. The only thing that bothered me the whole weekend was wasting time talking about point buys.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we've done enough on those. When you're complaining about point buys in 3 or 4, perhaps there's an issue with the structure. Anyway. All right. Miss Jennifer, you get to go through the questions. You've already heard them for Liam. So what did we learn from this HPDE related to driving? What did you learn? Anything?
I need to quit driving in my damn mirror.
That would be a good plan. I like that plan. Any ahas?
Don't drive in your damn mirror.
All right, that's a good one. You get to use the track too. Is that an aha moment for you?
That is an aha moment. You're absolutely right. That is the realization I came to.
If they can't pass you on the straightaway and you're in a Miata, then they don't need a point buy. Give them the point buy. And if they can't get past you, then that's a them issue, not a you issue.
I gotta say, on the other hand, all instructors, I guess whoever was leading the debriefing, he's like, well, you got to let up on the gas to let them buy.
Not no Miata.
Yeah, that's what they were saying too. Like you would do that if you were passing something that was in your class.
Listen, if you're in a car,
But,
that can
you know,
drag race, right? Like a high-powered Camaro or Mustang or the Jaguar that was there, or the Ferrari Challenge race car that was there.
Yeah.
Or, you know, okay, if you need to point somebody by, I could see lifting. If you're in a Miata and they can't get by you on a straightaway, then they shouldn't go by.
This is true.
You're right. You're right, Bill.
That's right, Jen. You tell them. What did you learn non-driving? Anything?
Can
be nothing.
I didn't really have anything non-driving.
Okay. All right. I thought you might have learned something about UFOs.
I learned that there's an airport next to the racetrack is what I learned, because I didn't.
And planes and helicopters at close proximity do lots of weird things in the sky. But anyway.
That I knew.
Would you go again?
Yes.
Okay. It
was excellent track time. I mean, it was a lot of track time.
What would you change if you could?
The complaining of the point behind.
I think we've got a theme here. And what was the best part? What was the best start of the weekend?
The what?
What was the best part of the weekend for you?
The best part of the weekend.
Like, you look back and you remember this.
When Vicki and I were sitting in the debriefings counting how many times
we weren't even.
We were joking around about going in there with like 2 bottles of water each, and every time somebody said point by, you'd take a shot,
right?
And you'd have to pee by the end of the debrief, but
it was funny.
I think it would be obvious. Anyway, Miss Vicki, what did you learn at this HPDE? Could be more than one thing. It doesn't have to be one.
I was what did I learn? Probably feeling my car settle and getting on the gas earlier. That was really kind of big.
Okay. What did you learn about anything that's non-driving?
Nothing.
Okay. Any aha moments for the weekend?
Feeling my car in my body. In the seat, feeling the car with my body. I'm trying to get the right words. Having my body feel the car.
You were twerking on the car.
That's right. So, okay. So no, trying to have be part of the car.
Okay.
And feel that movement and feel the track through the car. That was an aha for me, especially on the bowl and especially on turn 5.
Okay. What would you change, if you could, about the weekend?
Point buys.
Okay. What was the best part of the weekend?
What was the best part of the weekend? Being with you guys, being with Jennifer and the kids being out there, and it's good.
It's fun.
It's good to be with family and to share it. I mean, going there by yourself,
that's
one thing.
Yeah, it's and friends drop by too.
Jeff and Jim Wakeman.
Yeah,
being part of the community. I think
EJ2K Track Rat.
Yeah, we had a lot of people. We had people past guests come up, and we're just coming.
Jim
up for
from
a
No
chat.
Money Motorsports came by, but I didn't see him.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Jim, you got to come by the next time because we have swag for you. They didn't know it. But we have
Laszlo,
swag.
who helped build,
that's right.
Who helped build the E46, came by.
We
fed them. Whoever came by and we had food, we fed them.
We have food and swag all the time. People,
yeah, food
just
and
come
swag.
By.
Yep.
All right. So the correct answers are, no, I'm just kidding. Driving wise, I think I started to be able to refine my driving feel because we were able to see the results of changes. I changed tire pressures and I changed suspension settings on my car, and Vicki noticed it as well. So that was good. I changed tire pressure on Jen. Jen, was Sunday any different than Saturday to you? I didn't change your car by much.
No, I did feel a difference. The track was really slippery.
It was greasy.
Super slippery. And I don't think we mentioned that at all during this podcast, but it was slippery.
It was what they call greasy.
Yes.
Especially after a few laps when the tires started getting really warm. Non-driving. I learned that the closest Wawa Slurpee machine sucks and never works. I learned that the second closest Wawa Slurpee machine sucks and never works. And the 7-Eleven worked half of the time. And then the third Wawa has a very good Slurpee machine. So I would much rather be at the 7-Eleven, but you take what you can get when it's a bajillion degrees. You get your Slurpees in.
It's a ritual for Bill. It's
is.
like his coffee in the morning is to have a Slurpee.
My coffee it just needs bubbles. So it's either a soda or
I can't drink them. They upset my stomach.
Yep.
I take like 3 sips of Bill's. That's all I can have.
That's right. That's right. Because if you take any more than that, you're coming back with a stump. Anyway.
Yeah, I just
aha moments. I had one. What was it? Aha moments.
We can come back to it.
I forget. I had one. I did have my first ever HPD off this weekend. That was kind of weird.
Did you?
I did.
Let's talk about that.
Did.
Yeah, that really threw you. You were pretty frazzled with that.
Well, I don't drive at 10/10 on an HPDE. I just, like there's always more push I could do. And then I'm trying to learn things, not explore limits. And so I was going around turn 5, and turn 5 for those playing at home. It's a right-hand turn. It's a uphill, downhill, and it's off camber, especially if you get off the apex, the inside apex. The track really falls away. So I was, it was towards the end of a stint. My tires were starting to get a little greasy. I pushed it a little bit into the turn, more than I was going to. I had just had my fastest lap, and I didn't know that at the time, but just data wise. And I was pushing it a little bit more. And I went into the turn just a little bit faster, and I wasn't able to make it down into the apex when the camber is helping. And instead I was on the side where the camber is not helping, and I just went off. And, nothing big. I put a little grass in the car and didn't run over anything, just drove it around, came back on the track, and, life was good. Life was grand. And, but I had never been off on an HPD. Actually, I've only been off twice in a race. So it was weird. I don't usually go off. That's not something I do. I'm more like Jennifer in that way, in that I approach the limit gradually from below, as opposed to go above and then come back. So Jennifer and I share this. Now, if I could just rip the rearview mirror off, Jen would be fine. Let's see. What's that?
Oh no, I had gone off track too once, and then I had 2 tires off on another, but that came back in and I caught it. So that was good.
Yeah, I put 2 tires off out of 7 a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just you can either fight to stay on the curbing or just let it go off a little bit and come back in.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to beat it up. So anyway, your next, Bill?
What would I change? Well, obviously I would change the belligerence over point buys. What would I change? Well, I definitely would change that there was those accidents. I didn't like seeing that. That was not fun. And for those who are thinking about going to HPDs, accidents at a NASA event, likely at an SCCA event, anywhere you're going to go to an HPD, the chances of an accident are very, very, very low. And these were actually the first 2 that I'd seen at an HPD.
They were
both in the races.
Yeah, they were in the racing. They really weren't in the HPDE class.
Right, but it's not something you typically see. Like we don't see a lot of these. You'll see cars that'll tear up a fender or stuff like that, but usually fires are rare, thankfully. What would I change if I could? I really would like this to be more like NASA Great Lakes. If this was like NASA Great Lakes, I'd go to every single one of these events. Yeah. You couldn't stop me.
Yeah, because they're close.
They are. We're going to Mid-Ohio next weekend, not because it's the closest racetrack with an HPDE. Actually, all 3 of us are going. That'll be fantastic. Best part. I think the best part was watching mostly you two, because Liam wasn't available for comment. watching you two get better. You actually, even Vicki listened a little bit about the data and then made changes, which was fantastic. Because usually, as everybody who listens to the podcast knows, if I say something, Vicki doesn't hear it. But that's a different story. And I'm going to end up in the bathtub if I keep this going. So I'm going to keep running. Did you guys get to walk around the paddock at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But we saw a gaggle of minis.
There was.
Yeah.
It's Miatas because you're tired.
Oh, they were Mini Coopers.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah, they were all Coopers, and they were just kind of doing their own thing.
Skittles, and then they left.
Yeah, I said not only are there like nine of them all like close up in like a club. I said they throw Skittles from the window as they drive by. They were cute.
We're cute.
Yeah, we got to bring our Mini one time. That would be fun. I haven't brought the Mini in a long time. Summary. How'd the weekend go? What do you think?
It was summary.
It was a great opportunity to drive, and that's what we were looking for. So yeah.
Cool.
We've been doing HPDEs, after winning our first race. This was a good chance for us to kind of, the best way I could say is like kind of stretch our wings for the season.
A little bit. Yeah. Push it a little bit.
Yeah. Push a little bit more, kind of put into play everything that we learned last year. So I would say, yeah.
Did you drive harder than you would in a race? Like on a typical 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
I drove differently. I drove hard.
In what way differently?
The race truck has a little bit of kid gloves to it.
Meaning
that you can't really push it into fifth.
Obviously.
You have to really
you can.
Yeah, it won't be so good. You really have to, because it's an endurance car, you really have to take care of the car as you're racing the endurance car. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you go fast and yes, you give it your all, but you can't beat that car up. And you really have to make your car last. And, but for this E46, I'm not saying I beat your car up, but I really pushed your car to my ability, and trying to be uncomfortable and going speeds that race truck never went.
Oh, no, you've never been that fast.
No,
have you ever gone that fast?
No.
Ever?
My Miata doesn't go that fast.
No. I'm talking like ever.
Ever.
Like non-racetrack. Like, is that the fastest you have ever driven in a car?
Probably.
I think so.
Yeah. So I was really...
So you went a little harder than you would have in a race.
I did, because I was starting to get comfortable with the car. And I was starting to feel the car in the track.
Yeah, so that's my biggest concern with the truck, is that it's not stable.
Yeah.
Comfortably stable.
Right. I mean, I think that, when we sell it, because, I think we're probably going to hold on to it throughout this year, but I think we're outgrowing the truck in our abilities.
Well, it's not really growth. It's just something different.
Right. Well, no, I think we are. I think we're ready for, as soon as Jennifer starts completing.
Or blame Jen.
No, I'm not blaming Jen at all, but I think there's going to come to a point when we're going to outgrow that truck, and we might be ready for different things. I mean, I love the truck. I love theming the truck. The truck is awesome to theme. But yeah, I mean, it was really exhilarating going that fast and having that much control over it. That was kind of cool.
What about you, Miss Jen? Did you drive harder than you do at a race?
Yes, I did.
In what ways?
With the truck in Lemons, it's it's kind of like the slow, steady rabbit in the hare, or the turtle in the hare. Is that what's that big
Turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just doing laps and being conservative, and you know what I mean? Just kind of, I mean, you're going fast, but you're not pushing it. Do you know what I mean? So because the goal is just to do laps and not wreck, not to, you know, do anything stupid, just do laps, be consistent, and, you know, and quick. But here it's, you're going, you know, you're just trying to get a little bit quicker through the turns and kind of push the car to see its limits. And
There's less people.
And there's less people, absolutely. And it's a controlled environment, and a race is not a controlled environment. Like
No.
there's no rules in Lemons as far as passing. So it's, I mean, they say that there's rules, but nobody follows the rules. So like here, you will get black flagged if, you know, you do not get a point by, you know, like it's very, very controlled, and there's only certain places you can point by, and nobody's really cutting you off or doing any of that. So
I mean, in some ways, it's less controlled because here you can go 2 off, no big deal. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many smoke clouds did you see throughout the weekend and nobody got black flag for going off? So it's different.
yeah, no, you're right. But, you know, I guess maybe because there's
It's
less
different.
people on track, and they don't tolerate the silliness as much.
No,
Mm-mm.
So.
no. I probably drove harder here, but still not. I've never driven a 10/10 lap ever.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a few turns just because it was fun, but in Lemons I don't do it because of traffic or car. It's not instability. It's not comfort in the terms of, oh, the car is comfortable. It's the car doesn't feel settled. You know what I mean? Whereas on like the last event we went to, I could have done whatever I wanted with the car, and the car would have said, "Oh, okay." So I can push the car a little more. Did I go to 10/10? No, but you know, I went higher than I do for a race because also I'm trying to make the car last at the race. So even if we raced that car, you know, converted to a race car, which we're not going to anytime soon, I still wouldn't push it as hard as I pushed it. Well, maybe I would, but I wouldn't push it as hard as I pushed it this weekend because it's got to last for everybody, and we've got to make it through 2 days of racing. So, you know, so I probably did drive a little harder than I do at a race, but it's still, you know, there's still room to push a little more. Like if we took one of our HPDE cars to Gingerman, I might do a 10/10 lap because Gingerman, you can only hit one wall, and you've really got to mess it up to hit that wall. The rest of it's just cow pasture. You can go anywhere you want. Not going to hit anything. So that would be probably the only time I would do a 10/10. I'm not a 10/10 guy yet. So anyway, so that was our weekend. You guys had a good time?
Yes, we did.
Did you have a good
Always.
enough time to do it again next weekend?
Yes, always.
Yes.
Well, luckily for you, you get to go to Mid-Ohio. Jen, you've never been there.
I've never been there. I'm excited.
Good. Very good. Miss Vicki, you've been there.
Yes.
It's quite the track.
Yeah. We should check on weather to see if it's going to rain.
Yeah, you got me a little terrified about the wet track.
Let's look at the videotape, shall we? Checking the weather on a podcast. How entertaining is this, people?
Yeah.
Let's see. It says, not that I have Mid-Ohio in my phone, but I do. It says that it looks like we are...
Friday looks like rain.
Well, that's fine. We don't have to do Friday.
Saturday and Sunday. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be 61 and 68 Saturday and Sunday. Nights are going to drop down to 41 and 46.
Nice.
Chilly mornings.
That's fine.
Nice days.
I'll take that after this weekend.
Yeah.
So far, it looks like we're good. Jennifer, I'm
Yes.
telling you this now. If it's not wet on Sunday, you are going out at least one time in the E46.
Okay.
Okay. You remember how you felt going into Charlotte, and you said no, 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 and then you went out there and you said, "Oh, that was quite nice." I believe you grabbed Vicki by the shoulders as you were doing a driver exchange. You shook her and said, "You were going to have so much fun."
She did do that.
I did do that.
So,
And she did.
and she did.
I did.
That's right. So, I believe we're going to have at least one podcast in between, but this was our New Jersey Motorsports Park HPDE at the Lightning Track with NASA Northeast. We had a great time. Got to see a bunch of friends. Got to sweat a little bit. Got to play with our cars. Quite fun. Hopefully everybody is fine from some of the incidents that we had this weekend. But we will be at Mid-Ohio Memorial Day weekend. If anybody's around, please stop in. We have lots of stickers. I'm like the guy in the van driving by the school. I've got candy.
Stop.
All right.
What
There's
the
a difference besides that. But anyway, you know what I meant.
I know.
All right. You guys have fun. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Dominating with Dawson coming soon to a theater near you. Here comes the theater. Watch out. Game over.
Game over.
Dominating with Dawson.
Okay.
All right. So here we are with the magnificent Ben Dawson.
Did we get a new Ben Dawson?
Once again, it's the same one.
Oh, excellent. Well,
Yes.
welcome your magnificence.
Okay.
So Ben, we have a question.
Okay.
Thoughts on OSB at HPDEs? Can you please share with our listeners what OSB is, what it stands for?
Yeah, you break the whole thing down for laymen.
Break it all down, Ben.
Okay. I've heard OSB is something that is just a term in general for other sports Beckon. It just means in any kind of pursuit, it just means there's other things that you could try doing, but this isn't what you should be doing with your spare time and resources. I think that's what it means. I've seen people write it in like an HPDE participants logbook or something like that. It's kind of code for other instructors. If you happen to spot where somebody wrote OSB on an evaluation, you mean like, oh, that's some snooty guy letting you know that they don't think this person is good enough to be doing this kind of racing. So that's my understanding of it. Have you heard about that, Jen or Vicki?
No, never heard of it before.
I think in my opinion, when I see it, I think that whoever wrote it must be kind of a jerk.
Yeah,
that's always my impression. Like, what jerk wrote this? I've never written it about a student or somebody I've coached, or I've never thought it either.
Now, unless you're a carpenter and you're talking about oriented strand board and you're doing roofing or something, OSB is not on my lexicon. It's. Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, we started this podcast, and still, I think most of our team feels this way: is that anybody can do this. You may not pick it up as quick. You may not start at as high a level initially, but there's nothing that if you don't put your mind to it and put in some practice and think about, there's really nothing stopping you from getting to a decent level. And OSB has a fundamental assumption that, you're not capable of doing this. Now, you may have the wrong attitude. Okay. You could be I can drive any car I want as fast as I want. I can do anything I want on a track because I'm the next gift to racing. That's different, but it's not a can't do. It's a attitude.
Where did you run across it first time, Bill?
I've heard about it on some HPDEs with some of the instructors.
You've heard instructors talking about it?
Yeah. And, the instructors that I've heard say it are generally the instructors that I don't think too highly of.
Right. Well, it's a crappy opinion to have or share.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's natural.
I just don't think that, if you're interested and willing to learn and willing to listen, there's nothing stopping you from getting to be,
isn't that why you're there?
Yeah.
You're paying somebody to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. To write off somebody who had the enthusiasm to pay, to get the money together to come to an event and, get a car together, to completely write them off and just say, oh, it's not for you because you didn't like something about the way they did it. If you're an instructor, it's your job to be there to tune people up to your approach. That's your job to teach them, not just to give up on them and write them off. If something's not working well, it's an instructor's job to approach it in a way that's tactful and effective, not just to write the person off with a secret code to their next instructor. There's no value in that.
No, I think, you can have an instructor you don't mesh with. That's one thing. Maybe you just don't click together. Like one's too intense for a non-intense, type A with a type B, or a type B with a type A, vice versa, whatever.
That does happen. That's the thing that happens, and that's the thing that your track day organization is prepared to handle also. Right. So that's not out of the norm to need to ask for a little more space on track, or maybe ask for a different approach in your instructing.
Yeah. What do you think, Miss Vicki?
I can relate to this because of some of the instructors that we've had and the different approaches that we've had to it. I believe at one point, Jennifer and I actually had to switch instructors because the temperaments
weren't meshing.
Well, because they were reversed.
Right. And it wasn't that they were even bad instructors. It's just some people respond to teaching differently to different people. And it's just like, working,
right.
Me working at a school, and working with children, some kids need a teacher that's very firm and directed, and some just need a hug at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's the same thing. There's different personalities that get along with different personalities.
Right. And I think in our instance, when we flipped, is that I had a very chilled, laid back instructor at one point.
Which is what I respond really well to.
Right. and Jennifer had one that gave instructions in the moment.
It was intense. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes.
And you were early too.
Yeah.
Right. Jennifer was very new to racing, and having
somebody intense made me anxious.
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't helpful.
Right. And it's not so much even that it was intense. Yes, it was intense. But the reason why it was intense is because the instructor taught in the moment.
Yeah, it's rapid fire. Do this thing now. You better know what I'm talking about.
Right. And you know what? Some people just don't respond to that. I think that if you are further along in your learning, you can respond well to that.
Right.
Because you're already knowing what to expect, and you're just tweaking at that point.
Right.
And she was good.
She was very good.
The instructor was very good. Don't get me wrong. And it goes back to even with the teacher. I mean, both teachers are could be very good. The one that gives a hug in the morning, and the one that says get to work. You know
right.
what I mean? It's just
right.
It's just different styles mesh with different people. So yeah,
I think I identify with what you're saying about the good teacher. It sounds like you're a good teacher. You could probably recognize which kid needs a hug and which kid might need to be told, hey, get down the hall to your classroom. But in the same vein, it's my opinion that an instructor who is worth their salt is able to identify and adapt to the person that they're working with. I can tell this person kind of needs a little bit of cheerleading, even if things aren't going that great, or even if what they've done isn't spectacular, but they could just use a little bump to help them get around the track the next time. Like, hey, great job hitting that. Let's work on doing this and this next time. But also, so that's one approach I have typically with a driver who's newer to performance driving or racing. But when I'm in the car with somebody who's like, hey, can you jump in and help me get faster? Usually that's a person who's a little bit more intermediate or advanced. And that's the person who's already going to know the nomenclature. When I say, oh, you break it to one, do this, blah, 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 I start rattling off a little bit of jargon at them to try to get them faster. They want that help. They've asked me to get in the car with them typically. And like halfway into it, once I kind of see what they're capable of, like what I can be confident that they can execute well on the track, I'll start driving the car with my mouth pretty much. All right, break, get it. Like I'm usually just telling people to hammer the throttle way before they're used to it. And that's where a lot of times I help them find the speed. But that is that kind of immediate coaching where I'm like, get it now, let's go, break now, turn in now, turn it hard. Right. And next time I come around, like if I saw something I didn't like the lap before, I try to remember it. All right, next time I come around, I'm going to tell this person, instead of telling them right then, I'm going to give them half a straightaway. Say, hey, this time we didn't turn in far enough, so we're going to turn in harder right now. But I'll give them a little bit of warning what we're talking about first, so they have a second for it to sink in. If I want a different approach, But if things are going pretty good and we're just sort of clicking it off, I'll just sit there and drive the car with my mouth. And by the time it's over, hopefully they're a lot faster, and then we can go ride again. And I'll just sit there and not say much. And hopefully, and generally, if the person has absorbed what I told them in the first ride, they just demonstrate a lot of the second time around. If it's a more advanced person,
you just wouldn't turn around and say, "Oh, they're a bad driver," and just write them off. But the thing is not. It would say more of an instructor if they say, "Okay, this person isn't up to par. What can I do to get them there?" Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. That would be like, that would mean more as an instructor for you. It would reflect better on them if they could get that person there instead of just saying, they're bad. So,
well, just like there's bad parents and bad everything, there's also people who are instructed for not the best reasons. They don't have the best execution, and they don't always teach the best. So it just happens. You just have to kind of hope for the best, or hope you can teach yourself stuff.
But they're good for somebody.
Sure. And that example you guys gave where you need a different approach and a different person telling you in a different way. The fact that you guys could swap and have it be that effective is a great illustration of what we're talking about here.
And
it would be nice if instructors recognize that instead of writing that. You know what I mean? Like, instead of writing that, it always be just say, okay, who would this person maybe respond to better next time?
Yeah.
What can we do now in the moment to see, how we would get a better response out of it?
But you know what? I think so. What some of the HPDEs do is that they do send out an instructor introduction. Okay. So that would be a good time right there as you're to discuss your learning style. Actually, and say, listen, I respond better to this, less than this way, and I can get more out of your instruction if I am led into that turn and know what I need to do then in that moment, and then the instructor can be prepared and then can start pushing later. So that is probably a good problem, a good way to address the problem right there.
It is.
I mean, for the last time I went out, when I was with you at Mid-Ohio, Miss Vicki, the instructor said, "Hey, can I come in and ride with you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "So what are you trying to do?" And I told him what I was trying to do. And I told him flat out, I said, "Listen, I can do whatever you want. You can tell me as much as you want or as little as you want. It's not going to bother me. Don't worry about overfill, because I'm very comfortable in the car and I'm very comfortable at that track. And it was dry at Mid-Ohio. So it's an HPDE. I'm going to drive well and very conservatively for, I'm not going to go 10/10 racing style. And especially if I have somebody else in the car, I'm not going to go 9/10 even, I'm going to back it down because I respect the person who's willing to help me."
So you were primed to receive.
Yeah. And, that may not have been the case when we were first starting. And I just told him, I said, "Listen, you can say as much or as little as you want. I want to learn. And if it's something little, great. If it's something big, great. Hopefully not. But, tell me what you see and tell me anything I can do to get a little bit better. And, we'll work it out." And, everything went well. If you tell the instructor kind of how you like to learn and what you're ready to do, and ideally what you want to do, most of the ones that I've had are good at it and they understand that. Go ahead, Ben.
As soon as you turned to me, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Why'd you raise your hand, man?
Ben's raising his hand, and then he forgot what he was going to say.
I will say this entire talk about OSB and all this sort of thing and how bad it is. I've got one story and one student who defies the rules. My first student ever, and I will never tell you this story. Just want to know that. I want to tell you that it's out there. And this person, the only way I can justify it is to tell you that this person almost wrecked their Cobra replica with only one roll hoop that they wanted me to ride in, trying to get it up on their weird wooden trailer. Anyway, so there might be
you are.
There is no way this guy is still walking the earth. He was 150 years old that day, 2010. But anyway, it was good. It was there every now and then there might be an outlier. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
That's awesome.
I got to listen to what you were saying so intently, Bill.
And was he an OSB?
Sorry. Oh yes. This person, this person attempted to murder me so many different times. I was just happy. I was happy to make it through the weekend. Because also it was my first weekend instructing, so I didn't quite know what I was allowed to tell somebody they could or couldn't do. So I just kept riding down the wrong side of the straightaway with this guy, like, I'm gonna die in here. Yep.
So Ben gets out of the car and puts in the corner SOB. I mean OSB.
No, I felt like he was. I really felt like he was the SOB when he wanted me riding that Cobra replica that only had one roll hoop. I was like, dude, I get a roll hoop also. So we rode in this guy's 2010 Corvette special edition kind of thing. Anyway, that was a wild one, but for the most part, 99.99999% Bill is always right here.
You hear that, Vicki? Bill's right that many times.
What?
Bill's right.
What?
You're breaking up. I can't. The connection's
I can't
getting really
hear
scratchy.
you. My earbud. It's broken. It's falling off.
Must be the static again. All right, very well. I think we've beaten that one. Thank you, Ben.
This
Thanks,
sport beckons everybody. Come on in.
It does. Come on.
It's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
The water's just fine.
Come on in.